We are going to go back to our phone lines now. And Gladys, are you still with us?
Yes.
Gladys, here in Birmingham, we appreciate your patience so much. If you will, go right ahead with your question.
My question is, my sister, 80 years old, passed away intestate, and she owns property and a plot of land, and so I wanted to know if probate the process, and if I was told that if it was valued at a certain amount, I could just go and fill out a form. But I just wanted to know the process of probate, and how do you get started with that?
A great question, Gladys. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, so if she has land, then you really need to go to the probate court. Now, you really need to go to an attorney. You can probate by yourself, but there are certain forms you have to complete to send to the probate court. So if you're dealing with real estate, you really need to probate. That means going to the county where she passed away, where she was a resident, and telling them that she's intestate, telling them who the next of kin are, so it can be determined who would be receiving something at the end of the probate process. Now, it is a process, and the person that is handling the estate will have to post a bond. They will have to go through the claims process. So there's a claims process that lasts 6 months, where people that are creditors of the estate can file claims, and you can challenge them, or if they're valid claims, you pay them at the end. But at the end of that time, then you can start distributing the property to the heirs, and that just means the next of kin, since she's intestate.
Melanie, talk about descent and distribution, the laws that are in place, because that's sort of what takes over at that point, isn't it?
It is. People don't realize that it is not immediately to the people that you think it might be going to. So if we're dealing with your sister, it sounds like she doesn't have a spouse. I don't know if she has children, but you're looking to see, is her spouse still living? Does she have children? If not, are her parents still living? Does she have siblings? Which, of course, she does have siblings in your case. So now we're looking at, are we dividing it out evenly among the siblings? Has one of the siblings passed away? So now we have to take that share and divide it down to the nieces and nephews. So it can be a process. It can be, depending on how far this goes, it can be very involved.
And you know, Melanie, we see this. We see situations where you may have a child in a family that really doesn't need to come into any kind of property or any kind of wealth, because it simply wouldn't be good for them at whatever juncture they are in their life. And wills and trusts just become so important for protecting your family.
Because if you have a will, it avoids all of what you just stated. Is that correct?
Well, no, the will goes through probate.
Okay.
So if you're really wanting to avoid probate, the best thing you can do is have a trust. And that's not as complicated as it sounds. It can be, people do it all the time, where they're just trying to protect their home or just a few assets and keep it out of probate. Keeping it out of probate means that it's fast. We're not waiting for a time frame for creditors. It makes it more streamlined. It's just not as expensive. It's much easier. And you can say where it's going and how it's going to be administered, and you can set up the terms for how it's going to be handled for people if they're not able to really manage assets on their own.
And Melanie, I want to make sure we didn't have a misunderstanding. Now, in terms of descent and distribution, if you have a will, you can control.
Oh yes,
where,
you can
where
do
your
the
property's
exact
going.
same
But
thing.
the process of probate,
Yes,
the 6-month
absolutely.
process.
The will and the trust do the exact same thing. You can say everything in a trust that you can say in a will, vice versa, but a will needs to go through probate. That's just what it does. It makes it easier to go through probate than if you're intestate. Intestate means that Alabama law decides who's getting the property, but a will says that you can leave it to anyone that you want to leave it to. Your best friend, charities, your cat. I mean, you can. People do it. People do it all the time. So,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
we had it last week, so it's doable.
Wow.
That's
Well,
great.
look, we are being educated tonight. So